What's the best way to get a career in videography / content?
I want you to give the people a 1 minute breakdown of how we first got into contact with the NBL, because I think it's quite interesting.
You're technically doing your job very well, but you're also going to get like hate as a person. Celebrate yourself more because we're the first to like kick ourselves when we do something bad.
I want you to keep an eye out on all our channels because we've got a little exciting short course that we're releasing. Right. The shower.
What? What do you mean? I know you. It's shower lovers are out there.
Well, if you're a shower lover, tell me. But no, seriously.
It's saying that a lot of people say, but it's basically just create more than you consume. Get your co-host. What was that?
Sorry. You got that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the 2x creative YouTube show, TTC TV, if that's what we're calling it. We are?
I still really like it, actually. It's just got a ring to it.
Okay, we'll run with that. But this is a YouTube show designed to help you dominate content creation while we're on the path to do so as well.
That's our goal.
That's our goal.
That's everyone's goal, is tuning in. But no, thanks for inviting me back to a second episode. Really appreciate it.
I wasn't sure about it, but you're back. So how's things, Darren? How's your week?
Good. It's very Olympics heavy. Because even though I do work at the NBL and we're not technically, like, obviously that's not integrated with the Olympics, but we just kind of take it on our own stride to cover it.
You guys cover everything.
Well, it's kind of just like Australian basketball because like we've got part of the like WNBL shares now as well. That's going to kick on in like a year or two or whatever it is. So pretty much, I just think of, even though it is the NBL, I really do just think of my job as like Australian basketball, and I think that's kind of like the mindset moving forward.
That's cool.
But no, week's good. Olympics. But I was also going to say, just jumping straight into this, I like the fact that we're going to do some fan questions at the start because most people, myself included with other projects, you kind of just put fan questions at the end. And I think there's something cool about putting it at the start because one, I was going to say break the ice, like we don't know each other, but it just kind of like, it brings you, it brings you guys involved straight away as well. And it also makes for some topics that like we're not rehearsing kind of thing.
And it's the most enjoyable part, I reckon. Like, I think if you've done a podcast, I don't know if that's a hot take. If you've done a podcast or a show of some sort, it's probably the most enjoyable part.
I agree because I already said it gets you involved, but that's the best part about it.
Should we jump straight into it?
Yes. Do I have some questions for you?
Are you going to read them out?
Anyway, yes, I am. A simple one from Charlie, quickly. How did you get working with the NBL?
Well,
actually, funny, in a way, you could answer that because we both...
No, you tell the story because it involves both of us, but...
It's true, but we both essentially worked for the NBL. See, WNBL is already part of my lingo.
That's good, though. Terminology is on that.
Both of us essentially worked for the NBL in the same role to begin with.
Well, no. So how did it all start? Like, I want you to give the people a 1 minute breakdown of how we first got into contact with the NBL, because I think it's quite interesting and a good reflection of the very first beginnings of. It wasn't called 2x Creative, but it was similar.
No, the very first 2x Creative was actually called Brotherhood Studios. I still use it as my YouTube accounts and stuff. Anyway, we've got a minute. We just pretty much did the classic make basketball mixes, NBA mixes. We did it a lot. We did it as a side hobby. That led to you, not me, reaching out to... Did I skip a step?
No.
Oh, he looked at me in a weird way. No. That led to Michael reaching out to Guy Neville, who's my manager right now, and Mike Corbett, who moved on from NBL. RIP. NBL days.
Oh, I'm sure he's still killing it, whatever he's doing.
No, Michael reached out to them. I'm well aware there's a minute on the clock, so I'm stressing. But you reached out to him. We've started doing some part-time gig for them, pretty much just like a mixtape a week, mixtape a month. Something literally generic.
Game of the week, hype video, something like that.
Something like that, where we just had like a penciled-in video. Oh, your dogs are fighting. Get him.
We've got 2 dogs below us, folks. But anyway.
I got distracted. Literally like a video a week or a month or whatever it is. Started out with that. And then a full-time opportunity opened up with the NBL. And my background is design. So video is just a bonus for me. We self-taught ourselves. So I studied graphic design in university. And the full-time job in the NBL involved both design and video. So I'm like, this suits me more. I'll take it. So even though Michael reached out first, I was like, "No, this is mine."
I think it was just my idea from the start. Like, it's not like I was the one pitching myself. It was like, let's see if we can take this thing a bit more seriously, and that's how you ended up working for the NBL. What, 7 years on?
This will be my 7th season, which sounds very weird because I'm literally a veteran in the office, even though... Well, I am, because it's just like we have so many new starters every week, it seems like. Those dogs, kick them out. No,
I don't know if this is a good choice.
No, they're good.
Do they call you vet around the office, like a team?
Sergeant.
No, like a basketball team, like our vet.
They don't. No, you need vets on a team. So I'm getting to that point. But
next question.
That was a minute.
No, that's about 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
The next one is, I like this question because we relate it to not only the Australian media versus the American media, which is what the question is asking us, but I also like that leads directly into athletes. And we talk about athletes a lot, but the question is basically saying, how do you think Australian media compares to American media? I got a very small glimmer of it over there in the States, but what do you think?
I think, I mean, if we talk about it overall, the first thought that comes to my mind is how loud and bullish Americans are. Like,
they say what they want.
With their takes, they'll say what they want, and they're not shy about it, because you see people like Skip Bayless and those type that literally, I mean, people have said that he makes a career from saying statements that he probably doesn't even believe. Yeah, almost. Which works and gets people's attention. But you see people do that. If people were to do that in Australia, it's like instantly frowned upon. If you're in the football space, Kane Corns is someone that comes to mind, that if you do have those big takes, people are straight away sort of against him, and they think he's just like off the chain.
It's just because it's abnormal. Like, and I feel like it would be a really weird situation to be like one of those people like Skip Bayless or Kane Corns or stuff, because you're technically doing your job very well, but you're also going to get like hate as a person. Which is kind of weird. It's a very weird balance. It'd be fascinating to talk.
It's got to be expected to get hate.
Yeah, and it's weird because, on one hand, you're getting asked to do these things. On the second hand, there's got to be a bit of, like, human brain in you that you're just like, damn, like, either I don't fully...
special kind.
Yeah, or I don't fully believe it, and I know I'm half jazzing it up to get eyeballs and hot takes and clickbait, but it's a very fascinating thing.
It is. I reckon because like your producers would be like clapping in your ear saying that's amazing, and then you go home like, I feel like a shit human.
Or I don't actually believe it.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, what am I doing?
It'd be so interesting to see if they actually do believe.
Yeah, it does drive conversation, but it does lead into athletes representing themselves on social media. And you talk about it. I feel like we both talk about it a bit, but I feel like you've brought it up a lot of times, how the whole like tall poppy syndrome in Australia, like, we're not that happy to celebrate ourselves as athletes on social media, and I think we're getting better, honestly. Like the Olympics and stuff, I've kind of like noticed more people. I mean, it's more celebrating when you win gold and stuff. But what do you think about the landscape and how it's actually, I guess, evolving?
Yeah, well, I do think it. I agree. I think it's getting better. And for those, if you haven't heard of the term tall poppy syndrome, it's essentially if Darren were to promote himself winning 4 golds at the Olympics and saying how bloody good am I, it's me cutting down like the flower, the tall poppy, sort of saying like,
actually, every time I hear the tall poppy syndrome, it's hard to explain, but I think actually that was genuine.
Yeah, Google that. Well. I think it's well, but anyway, it's basically relating to these questions. Americans, I feel like they're so much better at celebrating themselves than also in support of others. So like
100%.
Whereas Australian media is a bit against it. It's slowly getting better, but it's still looked at like, oh, you're showing off if you're celebrating yourself.
No, literally, and even like Australian athletes, like I'm NBL players, like hype yourself up more. Like
literally,
I think it's a weird thing. Like it'd be easier to hype yourself up more and post stuff on social media if you're in the NBA, if you're winning gold, obviously, because you're at the top of your top. But even lower level, like leagues, like anything,
you
like
put
NBL
so much
1,
work in.
Like NBL 1 is the division below. Like you are in a spot that many people would love to be at, and I feel like many fans are just like, I know many, like, internet's a horrible and a great place, but I still think people would be like, no, give us an insight, like celebrate yourself more, because we're the first to like kick ourselves when we do something bad.
Yeah, no, well said. I think it's an interesting discussion point though. So it's a good question.
Yes,
next
it is.
one.
Thanks, Charlie. He was hyped to ask us some questions, which I appreciate.
Well, you know what? So one of his responses to the question sticker in an Instagram story was, I think he started saying 2 or 3 in a row, and then he said, "Haha, how good's this? I get to pick your guys' brains." And in all honesty, that's exactly what we want, because we spoke about this last week. We're by no means the biggest experts out there, but growing up and when we first got in this field, what did we like doing? Picking other people's brains.
No, literally, it's a full circle thing, and we still do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, half of this is rubbish. We're making it up. We don't even believe it. It's like Kane Corn.
It's true, actually. This is it's an act. But what Charlie's thing as well was, it tells me these don't have to be like thought out questions or thought out comments. Like, it literally just sparks conversations. We're like, hey, that's a cool point. Anyway.
Well, we didn't rehearse. It's not like we rehearsed what to answer, but yes.
No, exactly. Next one, Paddy Quay, your mate.
His question is benefits/cons of selling yourself as a sole trader versus being a one-person agency. when I read this, I think what you're asking is
what are you saying?
No, I think what do you say? What do you mean? Anyway, I think what you're saying is what are the benefits and cons of setting yourself up as a sole trader or a company? And if that's wrong, I apologize. But for example, I'll answer it. For example, we're set up as a company, and my understanding is if you aim to earn 100K or more per year, which we're doing, what we're aiming to do, set yourself up as a company because tax is better.
Okay.
That's about as much as I know, but that's the way our accountants explained it to me when I was setting it up. As for a sole trader, I believe it's something to do with below the 100K mark or... this could be completely wrong, but to my knowledge, that's why 2 times creative is set up as a company or sole trader because we want to earn 100K or more in revenue.
Well, so I can't. This is definitely Michael's field of.
I think that's the answer anyway.
Get yourself a good accountant as well. They make everyone's life easy. I remember
How do
even.
you know?
Well, no, I was going to say, sure, I don't do anything in this business, no, but even before we did 2 times creative and we kind of had our own things, like it's smart if you do side hustle work, I'm going to call it, set yourself up with an accountant and stuff, and they help you so much in terms of like, just like, even like money you can get back, obviously.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, it's like what we said last.
And do it properly, because otherwise you just kind of do it on your own. Not guessing terms, but you do Google, but you do ask around, and you just don't want to miss any opportunities.
Yeah, you overthink it. And it goes back to what we were saying last week, where don't pretend to be experts in something you're not.
If you don't know anything, just bloody Google someone that does. And yes, it's going to cost, but you get it back.
This is a good little segue.
Please,
good
segment.
Good.
I don't know, segue.
Segue. You could have just let me run with that. But so in the next week or so, I want you to keep an eye out on all our channels because we've got a little exciting short course that we're releasing that relates to one of those points about not pretending to know what you don't know. So this short course is free. It's called Dominate Content Creation in 10 Minutes, and we're very excited to launch it. So it's going to come out the next week or so. So just a little teaser.
No, that was a good promo.
Thank you.
Promo. And,
next.
No, that was fun. Best. Oh, Charlie's back. Love Charlie. Love the questions. What's the best way to get a career in videography / content? And I've got in brackets, university or another way. I've got a simple answer. Can you guess what it is? It's something I feel like, I basically got like a motto or just like 3 words. Can you guess what it is?
I can't. I'm curious though.
Well, it's kind of just like, just do it. Just put yourself out there. Just bloody
Nike.
post it. Nike? Yeah, I'm not wearing Nike. But no, literally, I think, I know like university, study, education, YouTube university, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
All of it plays a massive part. But I do think the main thing with all of this is literally just putting yourself out there. Yep. Like, I don't know how many times I say it, and I'll continue to say it. Anytime someone's like, how can I get in the field? And how can... I know, like, I feel weird saying, like, I've made it. But, like, you got to be proud of being at the NBL and being at Carlton and starting our own. But just post your stuff. Even if you get in your head about it, even if you're just like, why do people care about this? Or, I'm not good. Just literally post it.
Without posting, you're never going to get to a position... that you could, you're never going to reach your potential.
Yeah,
because
you could.
Yeah. I don't think there's a clear cut way of how to make videography or content your career. There's so many different avenues to do it. But speaking from our existence, a few key things for me and us was don't be afraid to do work for free at the start.
Yes,
it's particularly if you didn't study in it. It's a very fortunate skill that you can chase as a career.
That's very tricky though. The whole paying thing.
Very tricky, and I'm sort of against it at our current point, but I think it's very powerful at the start, and also repetition of doing things over and over to build your skills, and then just
I would say when you're like the whole doing, I know going on a tangent, but that's what it's for because it's something I'm keen to talk about, but it's just like doing stuff for free is such a weird thing because it's like if you're essentially junior or you don't think you're that experienced, I think it's good, and sometimes you have to, even if you are experienced, sometimes mates rates, that whole stuff. Sometimes you literally do just want to help out and you might get in front of people's eyeballs that you want to, but in saying that, the people are just like, I'm paying you with exposure. And I swear people still do that.
Yeah, I talked about this on our newsletter and LinkedIn the other month. I got asked to do something for free.
It's just like, yeah, anyway, it's a weird thing, and honestly, most of the time you'd be like, that's not right, like, treat yourself better. But I think there are a few examples where you can be like, I think that makes sense. But I would say on the main point, don't get paid with exposure. Like always value yourself a lot more.
I agree unless you've barely got any experience.
Yes.
Because like if you're literally trying to start this from the very start and you've got nothing, you've got to somehow. How are you gonna do it?
I guess experience must be the switch sort of in terms of if you do that route or not.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's so tricky, and there's always two sides to it.
It's tough. What was the? Oh yeah, I was gonna say university and stuff. I touched on it before. I studied graphic design. It doesn't. Michael started building design.
Oh, architecture.
Architecture was not a. I don't think it was ever quite a big passion. Although sometimes
I still enjoyed it with a bit of 3D modeling of the buildings.
Yeah. So my point here is, what you choose to do then at like 18 or whatever it is. I'm pretty sure. Like, I'd love to know a percentage of what people go on to do that if it actually relates to the university course, because it definitely helps. And even if it's just like, I don't know, getting your mind right and making you more mature in the way you think or whatever, learning programs. But it's very interesting what you eventually become to, because right now my job doesn't involve a bit of graphic design.
But yours obviously helped a bit, and you're not going to know until you know. So like at the very least, if you waste 10K on a uni course, at least you know, well, I didn't.
True. Yeah, it's true. It did help a lot where I got to.
Anyway, last question of the Q&A segment. I've got this one, Darren. Don't worry about it. Where do you find inspiration for your content? You want to go first?
Well, this actually,
this is
a perfect segue for something I wanted to talk about later. But I will just say.
Well, you can save it then.
Yes, maybe you go first, and then I'll segue into it because it leads on to what we'll talk about next.
The shower.
What? What do you mean?
Where do you find inspiration for your content? In a very funny way, it's true. I find the most inspiration for my content and our content from doing nothing and tasks that don't involve thinking. And people agree with me. I know people agree with me because I've heard people, like other creatives, saying there's no better thinking place for ideas than the shower.
I know you. It's shower lovers are out there.
Well, if you're a shower lover, tell me. But no, seriously.
Yeah. So So I took it in a different way, as in where you like my brain straight away went to like
other people.
Well, like, where do you look at content that you like YouTube and all that? But you're saying when you have a clear space of time just to think to yourself and nothing. Yeah, you literally can't pick up a device. That's actually pretty good. You literally can't pick up a device you can think about.
I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about this because not because you asked me it. I didn't just spend hours on it. But over the course of this year, I found what really helps me, and not everybody's the same, is I don't find I'm inspired by consuming other people's content. I feel like I'm inspired. Yes. I'm sure it still happens, but generally speaking, the most inspired I get in terms of ideas and what I want to do, it's when I'm not thinking about work. So it's like going for a walk,
100%,
shower, not doing anything, and then you've got ideas and you want to run with it because you're not comparing. Again, you're not comparing to anything else. You're just like, that's a good idea. I've got nobody else telling me it's not a good idea. I haven't seen that somebody else is already doing it, which is a massive one.
It's so true. That whole thing of like doom scrolling or literally just looking at other people's, because look, I understand you can, like I still do get this, and I'm sure you, even though you just said that, you still probably get inspiration from or motivation from looking at other people's content.
Definitely,
but if you do it too much, you're literally just going to compare, and you're just going to be like either I can do that, so why aren't I getting the engagement, or I should do that right away, and then you just bust your ass and kind of like overwork yourself or just don't get a result you're happy with because you're not taking the time or whatever.
Or what about the old, you've got a really good idea and then you find someone who's done that exact same thing and then you never do it.
Just like, no.
Whereas if you didn't see it, it could be your bloody $1 million
that's actually a great point.
Project or whatever.
No, that's so true. Because it's so easy to be... I've said this to you a fair few times. Like, it's so easy to get... In any life decision, really, if you see something on the internet or someone close to you or whatever says something that puts you off an idea that you're originally motivated for, it's so easy just to be like, you're right, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Or you're right, that is a shit idea. But you're increasing your chances if you scroll heaps and actually look at content that might be similar, that might put you off, or someone might be talking to you, and I don't know, it's so easy to get put off.
And I'm sure, just the last point on this, I'm sure I do get inspired by it. I just can't pinpoint the type of people that inspire me.
It probably changes though. Like it's dependent.
But I know people that I could name 3 photographers, for example, that's where they get inspiration from. Where that's just not how I work. Did you want to touch on your answer? You want to save it?
I want to touch on this thing, and then we'll go back. We'll go into Michael's week because this man has been a busy boy.
Busy week. But you go into what you want to link into this question about where you find inspiration for your content.
I have to give credit. I saw a thread. I don't mind threads. Some good
Who uses threads?
What do you mean? I do.
No, I was just asking the people.
Oh yeah, true. I actually like it for like content's sake, and like people just have some good advice on podcasts, on content, on
a lot of experts on threads though.
Yeah, that's the thing. You see a lot of the same thread. People say they literally just like copy and paste, and it's like it does feel like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure whether it's just like the algorithm being like, hey, I know you saw this and like this, so I'm going to send you every other thing that is similar.
But it's also like you see a bit of advice that someone could easily take and run with, like, as their whole
mantra.
Yeah.
When you don't
Whereas
know if
you
it's
don't
true,
even know
it's
if it's
just the
what.
fact
Yeah.
that it's got a few likes.
Yeah.
That led me to a very good thread that I saw.
Tell me, Darren.
I wish I had the content. I'm pretty sure the name is at Leisham.
Probably not too relevant.
No, anyway, it's a common saying.
Oh yeah,
but it's basically
yeah.
It's basically you just see it. You like what you saw?
No, I'm saying giving credit. It's like
Yeah,
giving credit to a photographer, but a thread.
Yes, exactly. I was trying to give credit because anyway, it's a saying that it's a saying that a lot of people say, but it's basically just create more than you consume.
Yeah.
I think it just speaks volumes that just the doom scroll's horrible. If you said what you were just saying then, if you look at stuff too much, you're not going to be motivated.
Yeah. No, I really
Simple as
like the simplicity of create more than you consume.
I've never done this, but I like the mindset of
I've never created more than
no. I like the idea. If you want to scroll. But look at your phone or literally set a timer and being like, I'm scrolling for 2 minutes.
I said,
and
I've got a timer on my Instagram app.
As in every single time you open it,
half an hour per day. It
half an hour at a time. If I open that thing, it's not going.
No,
past
half an hour per day. I mean, a lot of the days it will tell me, and I'll just say ignore for today. But otherwise, you just say give me 5 more minutes.
Really?
Yeah,
How do you do that through the iPhone?
Yeah, it's like you can do it for every app if you wanted.
Great.
Anyway, create more than you consume is a very good one.
Yeah, if you're unmotivated, do things like go for a walk or have a shower. Don't just go on Instagram and try to find. Because
it doesn't.
I don't think it really works.
It doesn't work.
Oh.
No, but like, tell me, like, you can't.
Okay.
You can't.
Well, you're
not
an expert.
You can't go to Instagram being like, I need to feel inspired, so I'm gonna go find an idea. If anybody's ever had that happen, tell me. And you're a compulsive liar, if so.
And you're wrong. I reckon. Anyway, Michael's week. You have had a very busy week, and I will say this often because I do get swept up in my own world. I'm a very selfish man. I do forget about some of the shoots Michael does, and sometimes he's just like, I'm just out at the moment, or I'm just in whoop whoop at the moment. I'm just like, oh. And then I think to myself first, I'm like, what's he doing there? But then sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. But it's a big Melbourne Storm week.
Big Melbourne Storm week. Or I mean, firstly, I think as a full-time freelancer, you need a calendar to tell you what you're doing. So there's no way I expect you to remember my calendar. And
your calendar's in Notion, which I love Notion.
Bloody hell, Notion.
No, Michael,
how good's Notion?
Anyway, go on to...
So my week. No, so some weeks in the freelance life are full of editing, some are full of shoots. So this week was very much shoots. So I had 4 shoots in 5 days. So it's quite busy.
Business is thriving. No, that's
for this
good.
week, and then next week,
no, it's fine. Nothing at all.
So Melbourne Storm, a new client of mine. I'm sort of just helping. They're in the process of a couple of positions internally. So they're trying to figure out how they can start using freelancers. But anyway, so I did the first shoot of the week was a Reebok.
That's right.
Shoot with Storm and some of the Storm players, and I love these type of shoots because often, like this one, it's launching new shoes, new clothes, and who doesn't love? No, but who doesn't love the? It's more like the content of a new shoe.
True.
It's usually a bit of fun, usually like a bit of fast paced. So that was that one.
Great.
Any questions about that one?
I'll just thought it'd be funny if you're just like a really bad guy to bounce stuff off. Yeah. Fantastic. And you don't lead him into the next one, I do know. No, that's cool. You have a video, don't you?
I do have a video. So this is a good example of
That's actually why I got distracted, because I thought you were gonna lead into the blue link.
No, I in my mind I ideally wanted a bit of back and forth conversation.
No, I'm good.
Rather than me just spilling my guts about my shoot.
Everything you said, I agree with.
That I had a shoot.
They had a shoot, and you like the content.
Thanks, Darren.
Things with shoes.
So a lot of what we do, you would agree that it's just capturing in front of us. It's capturing what's in front of us. A lot of our shoots, we direct people, but more often than not, because we're in the sport industry, we're essentially just capturing and documenting what's in front of us.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I didn't do that one intentionally. I did not do that intentionally because you seemed like you had more to say.
I did. I was just sort of playing on our previous conversation. Oh, it's constant banter in this room. Anyway, so this is a good example of what it's like to actually direct talent. So I'll show. We'll pop up a video soon, and I'll show you it. But for something like this, you need the players running with the new Reebok shoes on. You need them interacting, and you needed to, in the most important part, you needed to feel real, authentic, and not manufactured. So let's play this video. It shows me directing one of the Melbourne Storm players running with the shoe on an athletics track, and ignore the puffing, because I think an underrated thing about this is when you're directing talent and you've got so I had a camera on a gimbal and I was trying to film them running on this athletics track. Yeah. How do you get that shot? You need to be running also. So let's show you this one. Oh, this is a touchscreen. Alrighty. So let's just have a watch.
Oh, you're going to have to slow down for me here.
You're on his chest.
This would be like a race, but for camera people.
Just a bit of banter.
Yeah, keep going. I'll just go behind you.
Pops. It's funny when you watch it with sound though. Don't you think it's just interesting? Like it's at the inside.
It's great because like this footage, like it's good footage that you just.
All right, I'm gonna go way too close to your face, but
sorry.
if you look past me.
But these kind of shots are what looks good in like post.
I'm not looking at the camera.
No. It's one of those things that looks shit right now, but the edit will make it look good.
Talking and running. Tell me you wouldn't get popped by that.
I can't.
And this wasn't just.
Oh, you're right.
This wasn't, and it was't just one time up and back.
I was gonna say there's
we did this 3 players.
No, it's an underrated art and skill to
fitness
run and talk like that. But I was just laughing because you obviously please don't use the sound in the final. No, but obviously you see the vision. You see the vision alone in like a nice crispy edit ad, whatever, and you're like, this is cool. But I just like it that's the reality of it, and that's the reality of.
Well, that's what I wanted to bring you. It's funny. It's like it's a great insight, and there'd be so many of these types of clips that don't get seen.
Yeah. I will say, I reckon if you do have clips like that, I love watching stuff like that. I know it sounds funny, but it's just like the human side to it. And I think in a weird way, it brings people closer to the brand because they see some person behind it. It's what we said on episode 1, which Michael maybe chuck up there. No, not really. You can do that. Chuck the link up there for TTC episode 1. But no, it's what we were saying. Like, I relate to brands that make me feel like there's a person behind it, not
because
AI.
Yeah. Or because
if you stuff up, post it.
Yeah.
Or if you find it funny.
But like going back to this example, like you'll see the finished product of this reel that might be a slow motion shot of him running with the shoe, him looking off into the distance. But how often do you actually think how do you get that shot? And often it's not some mastery of directing talent. It's being human, like just sort of being like almost taking the mickey out of yourself to get them to be more relaxed. And that's something that I try to focus on more when I'm directing talent, particularly athletes. They might be sort of expecting you to be ultra serious and professional, but if you have a laugh and just be like, I'm exhausted out here, you're going to have to slow down, they'll laugh and get the shot anyway. Like that could be the second you use.
I also think the atmosphere on the set makes it better. Like if you are comfortable enough with them saying like, I'm like totally out of breath, can we just stop? They're not going to feel as like stiff as in like, we're on a content shoot, you're sticking a camera in my face and you want me to act. They'll be like, oh, you're human and I will be more comfortable with my next shoot with that because you're being comfortable with me.
Yeah, exactly. As opposed to being exhausted and puffing and then they're looking at you and you're trying to like play it cool. Like, no, don't worry, keep going.
You're better off just being yourself. That's great, Michael. No,
thank you.
That does look good. Let me just get back to the run sheet, hey?
And while you're doing that, so the other shoot, so I had 3 this week. One was with a St Kilda college or high school. I swear some people call them colleges even though they don't in Australia.
In Australia? Maybe they're trying to get that American.
No, I don't actually. But anyway, I wanted to show you a second clip. This is just a footy. Just a footy high school game that I shot. I was absolutely freezing on that oval that night. I was probably 1-0 -1 even.
Just cold. Frosty.
Very cold. But I should have more layers. worn more layers, just as a side note.
This one?
But this is an example of being in the perfect spot for a goal. And there's no better feeling of just filming something
and nailing
that happens,
the friggin' shot.
Nailing the shot, filming something that's right in front of you. Take a look. You skip the first 20 seconds. But this was a really good contested goal by one of the guys that I was filming for the St Michael's Grammar School. Here we go. So, good position.
Celebration.
Yeah, celebration. It's very hard to know whether to zoom in or zoom out on this, and particularly when you follow the ball. So, I don't know what you do in that situation, because when he's kicking, I thought it would be good just to stick on him. But in reflection, if I did that, I would have totally missed that the ball went through.
As in if you zoomed closer and closer on him.
Yeah, so he kicks it, he looks at the ball, but that would have been the wrong mistake in my opinion, because particularly for this one, seeing it was a tough goal. If it was a set goal, maybe that's different, because you don't necessarily need to see it go if he's directly in front, but that was a tough goal from an angle. So I think following the ball and then panning back to them is...
I think so. I think what I found with I've mainly only shoot basketball, but sometimes I'm too tempted to keep zooming, or actually I'm too tempted
close?
to go too close.
Yeah,
because you think you're like, oh, I've got a good lens, or I've got a zoom lens, so I'm gonna actually use it. But there's often I look at my footage, I'm like,
it's funny you say that.
Just pan it back.
Wide shots.
Yeah, especially when
tell the story better.
9x16 kills everything. As in positive kills everything these days. Like you want that.
It's
for
such a
reels
good
and
point.
TikToks, and sometimes if you're too close with a zoom lens, you're just like,
you got to think about the
reel.
reel.
Jersey in a face. I want to be able to see more of the ball and the defenders and stuff.
I'm a sucker for that too, and I think we do that because we, at the end of the day, we love the emotion. So me and you might like to see them.
That's true.
Celebrating, but if your point is to show a goal,
you
zoom out.
Yeah, true. And you also think, broadcasts are always wide. Well, do have the wide angle, so I'm going to be different.
Get the fit, yeah.
But you don't have to be different. Your stuff is different anyway.
But it's also how often are you shooting where there's a broadcast? Oh, NBL.
Yeah, that's what I'm referencing.
No, that's a good
NBL. Yeah,
that's a good example though, because it changes.
Yeah, and you probably just think you're trying to be different.
Yeah.
But moving on. So you're going to talk about one of my favorite things here that I've not recently, but just some settings with the camera that you can try to play around with. S&Q. I don't even know what that stands for, but I was going to say effectively or essentially, and I split the middle.
Motion.
Essentially, it's slow motion, and you chuck it on S&Q and make sure the settings are still what you would normally use it and whatnot, but it just makes it slow motion straight away, and it's really cool to get overlay, like B-roll.
Yeah.
If you just chuck that on, again, basketball, I'm going to reference that, but if you just literally put it on S&Q and you're doing a feature or an interview with a player, if that player's there, he doesn't even have to be doing anything. Just do literally 5 seconds of him looking off into the distance in slow motion, and you're like, that's my main shot.
It's so helpful for things like that. If they're not actually going to do anything for B-roll, but you quickly get 2 or 3 seconds of them doing nothing, but it looks good.
I actually didn't. I only discovered it 6 months ago, a year. I don't know. I wish I knew about it early days.
It's funny though, because that's again considered probably a basic, but a great example that we're still learning every single day.
I think
good.
You're still stuck. You're too stuck in your ways especially when you pick up a camera for the first time or whatever, and you finally get to a point where you're comfortable with using it. You don't want to change too many settings. You don't want to trial too many settings because you're just in your head, you're like, no, this is my setting. I know this is good. But then you said I'm pretty sure you said one day, have you tried S&Q?
Yeah, so it goes back to the point this week that I sort of was focusing on is shooting with purpose. So for the S&Q slow motion, if it's thinking about how you're going to use it in the edit. So shoot with purpose. So shoot the slow motion if you're going to use it as B-roll. Shoot 25 frames per second if it's going to be normal, like you see speed in a normal way where it's an interview or whatever. Because sometimes I think we might shoot in, say, 50 frames per second with a shutter 100 because of the what if of if I want to slow it down.
Yeah.
Whereas, is it not sort of teaching you a bit better and actually learning the craft a bit better if you shoot it in 25 frames and then for the stuff you want to slow down, you shoot that with purpose?
True. Does that
make sense?
I think so. If you have a better idea of what you're actually using it for, rather than just almost rather than doing it because you know it's technically correct or you know it's maybe what someone would advise it for.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying so. if you're shooting something on 50 frames per second, you've got the option to slow it down.
Yeah.
Which is great, but then it's almost like, in a way, I think of it as like a lazy way to... maybe not a lazy way, but it's just like you're just...
like a backup plan.
Yeah, you're sort of just like in the middle, whereas if you shoot with purpose, it actually helped me this week to be like, what am I using it for? You don't need to shoot it just in case you want to get slow motion. Go out there and get slow motion.
That's actually... it's also, in a weird way, it makes the joy of editing increased. If you don't have... Like, it sounds funny, but if you don't have... I do it with the same similar thing is if you have less shots to choose from, your editing experience is going to be better. And if you have less options to do with, like... this might look better slow motion, or this might look better, whatever. If you have less options, the joy of editing is actually...
That's a good point by me.
That should be on like a t-shirt or something. I don't know how you word that in...
No.
Less options means more enjoyment. That didn't sound as good. But you get what I'm saying.
Merch.
You get what I'm saying.
Merch shopping.
Is that it from you? Like
Yeah. No, they're the points I wanted to touch on.
What's your favourite thing? What was your favourite shoot or favourite interaction? Who was that guy that you were huffing and puffing with?
Well... I'm not going to pretend to... No, this sounds poor. I mean, I met 5 Melbourne Storm players during the week, and I'm not going to remember their names. But my favourite part was probably just going back into Clubland. Because we're not rugby...
man.
Yeah, we're not rugby or NRL fans by any means, but it was very good just to see that it essentially operates the same as an AFL club, which is to be expected, but that was my day-to-day. What's funny?
No,
that was my day-to-day, so it was good to get back in Clubland around...
No, it is, because you don't miss something until it's gone touchdown. That's why I was laughing, because it's not called a touchdown anyway.
Mark Holden out here.
My week. No, I didn't have as much to touch on. There's a few things I wanted to touch on, but Olympics content has been killing it. We tried
just in general?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, like the numbers. I was tooting my own horn. So, no, it just in general... Okay, backtrack.
Yeah,
rewind.
Rewind. You're talking about NBL.
I'm trying to say, what I wanted to lead in was...
It doesn't mean like the pole vault.
There's 100% a market for, I'm just going to say us, doing Olympics content, because I was enjoying comparing the Olympics content, podcast, YouTube, social numbers, compared to other stuff we've done. And it's kind of cool to see how people love... Like, it's Andrew Bergen and Brad Newley, 2 established Australian guys on Gold Standard, which is the Olympics podcast. But people love just, like, jumping in the YouTube comments, talking a heap about the game and about strategies and stuff. And I think that's really cool because, like, you don't often get that. So it's been cool just comparing Olympics content versus some other stuff we're doing. And people love it.
Has that taught you in terms of, like, a content perspective to sort of stretch what your business actually covers?
I think in a way.
Take the... like maximize the opportunity of something like the Olympics.
I think in a way it's kind of like another way of saying if you identify a missing gap in a market and you think you can do it well, just do it. Like just do it and see how it goes.
Yeah, and it's still using
with that.
2 ex-NBL players.
Yeah, I mean it kind of true. It kind of like is a lesson on choosing talent wisely and basically choosing who's going to headline a show and all that stuff. Like it's obviously valuable and that adds a lot to if you get views, if you get comments.
No, I think it's really good because sometimes I think it's like, oh, well, is it really our place to cover the Olympics? Like, what's the NBL got to do with, apart from being the boomers being in there? But in terms of, you guys have been pretty hot on building up everything and covering everything.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, it's another lesson of just, we are covering Australian basketball. Yep. So that's just been fun to see those numbers. It's not like crazy numbers, but they're just like quick.
Solid.
Like people are listening to stuff quickly.
Maximize the opportunities, people.
Yes. Be relative. What? How about that for a transition to a next topic that you don't know what to... You just look at your co-host. What was that?
Sorry. You got that. No, so the other thing I've noticed you've been... see that? Just I looked at it and then I'm going to lead you into it.
Paid attention to
the other thing I have noticed you've been posting about and a few things that have popped up is you've been a bit of a productivity chain. Train this week. So I've seen you talking about either apps that help simplify I think I saw the workflows, the background of your phone.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's for some reason I just get on tangents.
What's inspiring you? Well, let's get into.
Well, we talked about it before, but Notion was one of them. Like how people use Notions is quite fascinating. I just said Notions. I love Notions. No, it's just Notion. But people use. I don't know if you've seen it. People use Notion on their phone in a really simplistic way. There's one guy I follow. It's
black
actually
and
like
white.
The black and white stuff. How the whole phone is effectively like a black and white simplified icons, and he just speaks to how productive you can be if you can be if you don't have distractions, like even like colorful apps versus black and white apps, or like just distractions that the Instagram colors, or a green text message with a 1
Interesting
above it. You're going to be like, ooh, red shiny thing. You might be more inclined to do that when if you just see it in grayscale. You might just be like, oh, boring. Don't need to look at that.
It's a good point. I was originally going to say, like, is that just like a reflection of like
me?
No. Like everybody works differently. Like just because that works for him doesn't mean it works for you. But I actually think there's power in that. You see the little green and red number 1, and you straight away is like, oh,
yeah,
didn't even think about it, and I'm replying.
Yeah, it sounds stupid, but I think
I'm on a phone call.
It sounds. No, that was good. No, so I've just been trying to find out ways to just increase your productivity. There's the I'm gonna butcher the name, but the Pomodoro method. I'm not saying that right, but it's basically like a method where some philosopher or something. I'm sounding pretty intelligent right now.
Damn.
It's basically just like you set a timer for 25 minutes and you get rid of all notifications, everything. You basically work in 25-minute slots. So it's 25 minutes, focus on one task. The Pomodoro timer or whatever times you. It stops after the 25 minutes. You get a 5-minute break after every 5-minute slot, and it eventually goes to like a half-an-hour break or something.
So it's just like a stopwatch.
It's just basically a stopwatch that's it's like a proven thing that's like 25-minute slots plus 5-minute breaks at the end is like something that makes your productivity. I didn't end up doing it because I'm like, you can actually get to a point where you just like, shut up, just focus yourself. Like you don't need apps, which is actually where I got to in the end. But it's fascinating how other people operate.
It is. There is that two-part of it though, because I'm also the same. Like you see these things that do wonders, but then it's just like, I'm my own human being. I should be able to control my focus for 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, literally. You can read too much into it, and you can be too reliant on it that you actually... Like, it was quite funny when I was searching for good ways to be productive. I was like, damn, I've done nothing.
This irony,
I've done nothing these past few hours because I've been looking for ways to be productive. But I think the biggest takeaway is just be focused yourself. You don't actually need
it's hard.
Something. It's hard.
I mean, if you're searking for ways to be more focused, then you're probably not focused.
Yes.
So it's...
But I think the little things are the best. Put your phone away, out of sight, out of mind. You're pretty good at it. I know you said you put it in a different room charging or something like that. Actually use the focus thing on your app that mutes all notifications.
I do that every night now. Yeah.
Even Slack. Like, my work goes crazy on Slack, and sometimes you're just like, I'm going to edit the hell out of this video for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Something.
Block everything out.
But it's valuable. It's interesting how people operate with their content.
Yeah. Final point of your week, Darren, is equipment. So last week we touched on me upgrading to the Sony FX3, which it's arrived. It's in the room.
Out.
No, it hasn't been set up yet.
We're not using it yet.
Last time on the A7, you've done well, buddy.
Does this thing so a funny mechanism with the Sony A7 is the 30-minute timer to FX3.
Oh yes, yeah.
I've always found that whack, by the way.
I think it's just like I don't know, something to do with it.
Anyway, I still love you, Sony.
Quality. You're at the NBL. You're upgrading equipment.
Yeah, it was funny timing. So you're just like, hey, my FX3 has arrived and I knew you were getting it and whatnot. But then I was talking to our team and it was just like, well, I think we're ready to upgrade our equipment because we use a lot of, like, a few Sony A7s, one Sony A9.
They're all like hybrid, aren't they?
They're kind of, yeah, as I was doing research for the FX3 and the FX6, I was like, okay, the cameras we use now are definitely hybrid, sort of run and gun, portable, smaller interfaces, I guess you could call it. Bodies.
Sure, bodies, yep.
Equipment. But we really want to upgrade our whole interview / documentary style video and sit down interviews, whether it's lighting, whether it's gear. I really love the look of, I don't know, it's a classic Netflix docos, and you're just like, damn, that you can tell, even YouTube documentaries and YouTube videos, you're like, they look great. So I think I just dived into FX3s and FX6s, but I'm still learning.
Yeah,
so please do recommend. You might be like, what are you using it for? Which is fair enough, but recommend whether FX3 or FX6 is our best option. It's more, we really want to focus on
video
quality of interviews is essentially, which I think FX6 might be, from my research, I think it might be more the preferred option if you just want pure video. I think it's a bit better quality video. I know it doesn't do photo, but we've got enough bodies.
Yeah, I think from what you're saying, it's like what we're doing with Two Tones Creative in a way. Like you focus on video first and then photo can just use your other bodies. But yeah, like I was going to say, have you learned much from researching? And if not, I think you will, because FX6 is a camera that passed people that I've worked with have used and loved, but like there's a lot more control and settings in a good way. So I reckon it will help you a lot.
I think I'll learn a lot from it because you have more, like you said, you have more options, more buttons, more like audio inputs and outputs, and that's the other thing. Like I don't know about you, but like documentaries, and people who are familiar with like documentaries and marking people output and stuff, I'm pretty sure a lot of places, if they do it properly or they do it a lot of equipment, they'll lapel them, whether it's like sticking to their chest, whether it's that, or they'll also have the overhead like boom mics and stuff. They'll almost have like
backup.
Yeah, they almost have like 3 or 4 different, maybe 2 or 3 different like sound options for you to basically be like, hey, in case this doesn't work, this is also great, or what sounds better once you're editing. I find it fascinating.
I've seen some really good results from not even like marking it up, like just literally with a shotgun above.
Yeah. But that's
like
what,
if you're getting people in and out, like it's like even us, like if people were rotating in that seat, it's so smart. Yeah,
that's actually a big motivation for what I envision, because we do at the NBL, we do a media day, and the last few years we're like, well, let's have a proper room for us and like get people in and out. And we did it last year and it was fun, but having players come in for 10-15 minutes and just like every time marking them up, every time sort of checking it, every time
checking the audio,
sure it looks alright, and checking the audio. If you had an overhead mic and they just jumped in, they were super casual and happy to be there because you're not marking them up. And some athletes are just like, I want to get out of here. If you did that quickly, I think it's so much better.
I think it's good because like you and I grew up on hybrid cameras in a way, like because we'd never shot. Like I think we both wish we sort of got our first cameras or started using earlier than we did, but. We had the A7s, the A9s, the middle ground of doing video and photo, but a result of that was we never really saw like the, not old-fashioned way, but how 10 years ago, a proper video camera actually operated. We were spoiled with mirrorless cameras, and we weren't used to like XLR inputs or just like the proper...
It comes with the terminology and stuff as well. Like we're not 100% across all that because you come from you know what you deal with, what you get put in your hands essentially.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. Let us know what you go with when you make a decision.
Please do. And while we're on the let us know you train, hit us. Give us some more questions, because we say it every time and I'll continue to say it, but the interaction here is what makes it fun. And it doesn't even not questions. Give us a comment. Give us a thought provoking whatever, because like as you saw from the start of the episode, if you suggest something and we're like, hey, that's actually really cool to talk about, or because it can be bounced back as well.
Bounce back.
We can bounce off each other as well.
Exactly, and it's what people are actually wanting to know. So I think I enjoyed starting the show with that.
Well, that was me. I chose to do that.
Oh,
fan questions first.
So did you want
I think it's
credit for it or something?
If you're starting a show and you want to include fan interaction, put it at the start. You'll feel better.
Yep, I agree. No, so hit us up over email. So 2xcreative@gmail. We'll use that as a bit of a mailbag. Otherwise, comment below in the comments again. Instagram, we'll probably put up a story each week. And I guess the other point was the way we'll frame the rest of the shows are based around our weeks. So if we mention something, for example, I'm out all day on a Australian Marketing Social Media Summit.
That's right. Yep,
on Monday. So if we mention things in episodes and then in the next episode you want to know how it goes or specific questions about it, ask us, or specific shoots.
It's also a great one. Please do invite us to events and stuff, because we will talk about it on here, which is obviously a great bonus for any company.
Unbelievable.
But actually, I will,
exposure.
The reason I brought that up was I will put my hand up to you. I'm having my terminologies, my analogy is not great today, but I'm trying to say I will put my 2 hands together to clap you for you're good at just like you acted like
who
you you're good at sort of like ever since this full lance I cannot speak.
I feel like you're really contradicting yourself here.
We're coming to the end of an episode and I'm struggling, but
it's midnight here. It's a grind.
I've been here for a few hours. No, I was just gonna say that you're very good at ever since we've done full-time freelance for yourself in 2x Creative, going to as many networking events, catching up with as many people with coffees, just doing what you can to increase your knowledge, increase your network. Networking is huge. So that was a long-winded way of saying I think you're doing well of just putting your footy in the deep end of everybody.
No.
What are these expressions?
It's one of those things that people always say network, and unless you start doing it, you're just like, I get it's meant to help, but it's a bit draining, it's a lot of effort, but every single time, even if it's a coffee, I'll come home drive home, you feel sort of inspired by, might be like one little thing of what to do or what not to do, to be honest. You're learning off everyone. So it's a great point.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. It's valuable.
You got there in the end.
Sometimes you can't be bothered, but that was great. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
I'm ready to stop talking. Talking is a skill. Practice it.
That's all right. You keep practicing while we wrap this show up, Darren. That is the second episode of TDC TV. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. Hit us with your questions. And make sure you subscribe if you are watching this, because it's just going to be something we're doing most weeks. That's it.
That's a wrap. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it.